Do you ever find it weird that in a world where we all have access to pretty much any information instantaneously, we still get things wrong so much of the time? See, I spend my time trying to clear up misconceptions about agriculture, and more specifically about the technology used in plant breeding. Now, I'm a relatively small fish in the ocean of ag science communication, and one of my favorite big fish, Farm Babe, recently authored a really nice, clean list of misconceptions that the public has about agriculture. And for whatever reason, videos formatted as a numbered list of things are popular. So in a shameless effort to be populous and collaborate with bigger fish, and to give you clean and clear information about agriculture, here are 6 myths that all of us ag science communicators wish the public would just quit clinging to. Myth number 1, GMOs are bad. Worldwide, GMOs are grown on 444 million acres of land in 28 countries. This isn't some massive conspiracy where Monsanto is trying to take over the world. This is the free market in action. Many GMO crops allow farmers to use less toxic chemicals far less often and protect crops from diseases and pests far more efficiently than they could without GMOs. Not to mention giving farmers more flexibility with changing weather and climate, not tilling the land and losing topsoil to erosion, and using less land overall. That's why farmers choose to grow them. Nobody is forcing this to happen from behind the scenes. Farmers are many things, including very, very frugal. They choose GMO because it helps them be better farmers. Also, if modifying the genetics of our food is just generally bad news, then you've got some mental gymnastics to perform in order to accept some crops and not others, because in reality, all food has had its genetics tweaked in various ways. That means the term GMO itself, kind of meaningless, despite food marketers trying to convince you that it's something to be afraid of. It's not. The people saying it's bad are usually profiting from selling you an alternative to the thing they've told you to be afraid of. The non-GMO project label and the organic label are now valued at around $85 billion, so it pays to have the public scared of GMOs. It pays big time. Non-GMO doesn't mean safer, it doesn't mean more sustainable, and it doesn't mean more natural. FYI, there are only 10 GMO crops grown in the US too, so it's not like GMO is taking over all aspects of farming. So take a breath and stop worrying about it. Myth number 2, factory farms wreck the environment. Look, feeding 8 billion people and the livestock they eat and the pets they own, that isn't easy, nor is it done perfectly, but people need to realize that it is stringently regulated. Example, a hog farmer who lives near Farm Babe raises 800,000 pigs per year. That's a lot of swine. Now that farmer has to pay the Department of Natural Resources to inspect their operation and has to have an approved manure management plan, which is a very comprehensive strategy to deal with the environmental side of raising 800,000 pigs. It's not a free-for-all, it's regulated, and there are hefty fines for ignoring these regulations. Everything in ag these days is high-tech. It's held accountable by data, and farmers themselves probably have the most skin in the game when it comes to stewarding the environment, as they're using the environment to make their living. So upkeep is kind of top of mind. Livestock farming can be done sustainably, and that's what everyone is working towards, because why would anybody farm in a way that would eventually lead them to not be able to farm anymore? That makes no sense. Myth number 3, all American farmers love Donald Trump. Yeah. No. A cross-section of farmers isn't much different from a cross-section of any other group of people in the US. Plenty of farmers didn't vote for him, plenty of farmers love him, and plenty of people regret voting for him. It's just like the rest of the US. There is nuance here. The tariff war is hitting ag pretty hard right now, and it's a touchy subject for many people in ag. Ag accounting for about 1% of the US population. Everybody, including farmers, is just holding on for dear life right now and waiting to see how all of this pans out. Myth number 4, farmers are rich because subsidies. Obviously. Obviously not. Farming is a risky business from a financial perspective, and financial success or failure is largely out of the control of the farmer. Think about the unknowns here. Prices go up and down on grains, and markets are shifting all over the place all the time. Weather, like you could just get everything right and still get eviscerated by hail or drought. Equipment is getting more complex and breakdowns are getting more expensive, and all of that means farm debt can spin wildly out of control, and activists can swoop in and wreak all kinds of havoc for farmers. Just to be clear, Direct pay subsidies for farmers in the US, they ended like some years back, and trade wars are making times pretty tough for farmers as the cost of production is higher than the cost of the goods. Did you know that farmers on average get about 7 cents on the dollar for the food us consumers buy? In this imperfect system, farmers occasionally need a financial hand. You can't on one hand say you're against large-scale factory farms and hate the fact that small farms are disappearing, and then on the other hand, thumb your nose at financially assisting farmers. Because without that assistance, you'd see even more small farms being pushed out of business. Do I think subsidies are the best way to support ag in the future? No, but I don't think any of us are willing to stop eating so that farmers can just take a break and figure all this out. It's an imperfect system that we can't shut off to retool. Myth number 5. Ag is run on the backs of illegal immigrants who aren't treated fairly. Fact, 75% of US farm workers are in fact immigrants. The majority of them are from Mexico, and the regulations farmers have to adhere to in order to hire them are just as stringent as any other ag regulation. A farmer would have to prove that nobody in the US wants the job first, and again, though not a perfect system, there are numerous programs in place to try and ensure that workers are documented, legal, and receive a decent wage. That sometimes includes things like on-site housing or childcare, and other resources as well. These employees are valuable to farmers because it's obviously not easy to find Americans who want to do the work. Could this system be better? Heck yes it could, but again, the food needs to keep coming, which means farmers are stuck in a kind of reactionary position, doing the best they can to get the crops off and to market. Labor is a huge part of that equation, and we all know good help is hard to find. So when a farmer finds it, it's logically in their best interest to treat good help well, pay them fairly, and entice them to stick around. Myth number 6. Modern food is unsafe and filled with dangerous chemicals. No, your food is not drenched in pesticides. No, your meat isn't pumped full of hormones and antibiotics. Yes, everything we eat is regulated, inspected, and held to some of the highest food safety standards in the entire freaking world. The USDA and the FDA have an abundance of regulatory documents and guidance rules that farmers follow to ensure high levels of safety all the way from the field to the fork. And don't take my word for it either. Ask any large-scale farmer which food safety regulations they adhere to. If you actually want to do that, like if you actually want to take that challenge, you can check out the Facebook group called My Job Depends on Ag, which is an excellent place to connect with farmers, or come join the No Ideas Media page and talk to farmers there. We'll hook you up. And like I said off the top, good information is out there. You don't need to rely on secondhand rehashing of stuff. And I don't care if it's coming from myself, Farm Babe, or people on the other side of these issues. Nollis in verba. That means take nobody's word for it, and it's Latin, so you know it's legit. Look, activists often aren't reputable sources of information. They're trying to make you think a certain way. Corporations, though not as malevolent as many assume, are still beholden to their shareholders and their bottom line. But the truth is out there. And as far as I know, there isn't a much better source of info on food than talking to the person growing it for you. Find a farmer, develop a positive relationship, be humble in your understanding, and ask good questions. Thanks for watching.